What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. It is time for Week 22 Premier League predictions. And if you want to know how Week 21 went, well, just go and look up the scores of the games. Last night, we were 1 goal away from 4 out of 4 perfect scores. We predicted that Villa would win 1-0. We predicted Newcastle would win 3-0, that Arsenal would win 2-1, and I said that Palace would win 2-1, and they won 2-0. So a phenomenal night last night. And not to mention the night before as well over on the Patreon. Here are the new accumulators we've had in the last couple of days since the previous Premier League video. We had the Premier League winners treble last night, but in Serie A, we had the correct Serie A score double. AC Milan to win 2-1, Atalanta Juve to draw 1-1. Juve drawing seems like a sure shot, and then we had a Serie A double with those same 2 games, basically allowing for not exact scores, but we smashed it again. So if you want access to the exclusive members, accumulators and tips and stuff like that, you can click the top link in the description or just type that Patreon URL into your search bar, click join all of the people flashing up on the screen now that have started supporting me over on Patreon and who have access to all of the accumulators and stuff like that. We are well over 100 units in profit for the season, and I'm really enjoying it over there. So if you want to get a shout out in every single video and you want access to these exclusive tips and accumulators that I can't give on YouTube, then be sure to click that link in the description. I really would appreciate it. And also, here are all the people that have joined the YouTube members club since the last time we did that, and basically that is the same perks as the Patreon, but you can't message me directly. There aren't group chats, so it's the same exact cost, but the Patreon you get a little bit more. So I also think Patreon is more widely available around the world, so if you're not sure which one to choose, go for the Patreon, as you get more for the same amount and you are more likely to have access to it in your country. But with that being said, I would say my best Premier League week on record, and it could get better. We still have Ipswich and Brighton and Man United and Southampton tonight, but yes, last week was my best Premier League week. We also had multiple correct score predictions over in the Bundesliga, Serie A and La Liga, so make sure you check out the videos on the channel. Kicking it off, we head to St James's Park for Newcastle up against Bournemouth. Now, it was an interesting game, Chelsea-Bournemouth. I thought Chelsea would win, in fairness. It was one of the few results I got wrong. I said that both teams would score, but Chelsea actually secured the draw late on with Reece James finally scoring a goal. He's had obviously a horrible time with injuries, but Bournemouth doing what Bournemouth do, just getting good results. However, Newcastle, we did predict that they would beat Newcastle. We did predict they would beat Wolves, 3-0 with a -1 handicap at 1.9, which allowed for a Wolves goal. Phenomenal result for them. Isak scoring again, getting closer and closer to Jamie Vardy's consecutive goal scoring record. And I think there's a very good chance that he scores again in this game because it's at home. It's against a team like Bournemouth who, albeit are scoring goals, they do concede goals. And also they do have some injury issues. They don't have the forward line that they would like. So I think Newcastle will get the win here. And I'm going to go for them to win 3-1. And the tip is going to be Newcastle to win and both teams to score at 3. I think it's pretty likely that Bournemouth do score, just given how well they've played this season. But Newcastle currently in the top 4. I think they're going to get the win here quite comfortably. After this, it's Brentford up against Liverpool. Brentford had a bit of a dip in form at home, not being able to get a win. And then, of course, Manchester City came to town and Brentford were able to come from 2-0 down to get a 2-2 draw. Wissa is now the top goal scorer in Brentford history. I think Mbeumo is on like 35 or 36 and Ivan Toney was on 36. Wissa is on 37. Liverpool ended up drawing 1-1 with Forest. We tipped Liverpool double chance and under 3.5 goals in that one. Liverpool could have won that game at the end. They created enough chances, but Matt Sells just had a brilliant second half, made some really clutch saves and got Forest the point. I think this is going to be a step too far for Brentford. I'm going to say that Liverpool win in a close game, 2-1. The tip is Liverpool to win at 1.5. I would stay away from this game. There's so many other games to look at. And Liverpool win, if you want to chuck it in an accumulator, by all means do so. But they haven't been quite as good at picking up the wins in the last few weeks. Obviously, drawing to Nottingham Forest, drawing to Manchester United. The week before that, Liverpool, they did smash West Ham. But, you know, that's feels like a long time ago now. So I would say Liverpool will win, but there's plenty more value to be had elsewhere. Now, afterwards, we have Leicester up against Fulham. Fulham losing to West Ham. They did score twice, but conceded 3 to Graham Potter's outfit. Leicester did lose to Crystal Palace, conceding 2. As we predicted, we tipped Palace to win it around evens, which was pretty good. I just don't know where the Leicester points come from. They're just not good enough defensively. I'm going to give them a goal here. I suppose, Fulham losing does help me picking that, but I'm going to go 2-1 to Fulham. The tip will be over 2.5 goals at 1.72 because I could see in a weird way Leicester bouncing back from their poor previous result and piling on the misery for Fulham, who weren't expected to lose to West Ham and get a win. So the tip is going to be over 2.5 goals at 1.72. I think it could go either way. Fulham should win, so I'm predicting a 2-1 to them. After this, the two teams we just mentioned, it is West Ham up against Crystal Palace. Palace having a better season. West Ham, new manager bounce. I think this is going to be a high-scoring, entertaining game. I'm going to go for Desmond's 2-2 draw. The tip is going to be both teams to score at 1.61. I like the odds. I think it's very, very likely that that happens. West Ham will put up a better fight against Palace than Leicester did. And obviously Palace, coming off that good result, will think they can get something from West Ham too. Now, after this, we travel to the Emirates for Arsenal up against Aston Villa. Villa, the team that essentially stopped Arsenal winning the league last season with their victory over them in April. Do I think Aston Villa are going to beat Arsenal? I don't. This is a bit of a gut feeling prediction because I've actually predicted Aston Villa not to score. And that's a pure gut feeling. They absolutely could score. Last week, we tipped Arsenal and both teams to score and to beat Tottenham 2-1, and they did. And we obviously tipped Aston Villa to win 1-0 against Everton. So 2 correct score predictions for both these teams yesterday. And I don't know how to call this one. It's weird. So I'm going to go for an Arsenal 2-0 win. And the tip, instead of Arsenal to win, because the odds are like 1.4, I've gone for Arsenal double chance and under 3.5 goals. That leaves you 1-2, 3-0, 2-1 to Arsenal, but also the 1-1 and the freak 0-0. That's pretty good compared to just Arsenal win, where they obviously need to beat a team in Aston Villa who are pretty decent. So I think Arsenal 2-0, but Arsenal not to lose and under 3.5 goals. Now, after this, we travel to Goodison Park for Everton up against Tottenham. Again, 2 teams where I correctly predicted their previous scores. Everton, I predicted that they would lose 1-0. Tottenham, I predicted they would lose 2-1. Arsenal, a bit fortunate, very fortunate that the corner was given where they scored their first goal because it should have been a goal kick, but I'm going to take it. Arsenal have had their fair share of misfortune, so we're going to move on with this game, and I think this is again another sort of a gut feeling one. I'm going to predict a draw. I think Everton, Goodison Park against Tottenham, who are woefully inconsistent, I think they can maybe scrape something. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, but the tip will be both teams to score 1.57 because Tottenham games are mental. Both teams frequently do score in Tottenham games, and we're actually, after a very tricky run of games to predict Tottenham, the last 2 game weeks, we correctly predicted their scores twice. A 2-1 loss to Newcastle and a 2-1 loss to Arsenal. So maybe it'll be a 2-1 loss to Everton as well, but I'm going to go 1-1. Both teams to score at 1.57. Now, after this, we have Manchester United up against Brighton. One of the trickier games to predict. 1, the game itself is just a tricky one to predict. But 2, they're playing tonight. By the time this video goes up, they still wouldn't have kicked off. So we don't know how Man United got on against Southampton and how Brighton got on against Ipswich. I could see Brighton dropping points at Ipswich, but Man United will surely beat Southampton. This is going to be a tough game for both teams. And although Man United should win, and I'd imagine they're the favourites, I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. And the tip is going to be both teams to score at 1.61. After that, it is Nottingham Forest up against Southampton. I'm predicting Southampton will lose to Man United. I'm predicting Southampton will lose to Nottingham Forest. I'm not going to dwell on this one for too long. I'm going to tip Nottingham Forest 2-0. And the tip itself is going to be Forest to win and under 3.5 goals at 2.15. Forest win was like 1.4. For it to not be 4 goals or more, to go up to 2.15 is incredible. So I'm going for Forest to win 2-0. After this, it is Ipswich up against Manchester City. Man City, just when you think Man City and both teams' score is going to come in, just when you think the 2-1 we predicted is going to come in, Brentford score late, make it 2-2. Ipswich, as I said, haven't played Brighton yet, but I think Man City win this one quite comfortably. I'm going to say 4-1 to Manchester City, and I like the odds for Man City and both teams to score at 2.5. The final game, Stamford Bridge, Chelsea up against Wolves. Wolves, as we predicted, lost 3-0 to Newcastle, and Chelsea dropping points against Bournemouth. They need to bounce back. They need to get a win, and I think they will. I think this is going to be a mega game. Am I right in thinking I correctly predicted this to be 4-2 last time? Let me check. No, I got confused. I correctly predicted that Chelsea would beat Brighton at home 4-2. Week 6 of the Premier League, I said Chelsea to win 4-2 and Chelsea and both teams to score at 3.2 was the tip. I'm going to do it again. Chelsea to win at home 4-2 against Wolves. The tip is Chelsea and both teams to score again, this time at 2.37 rather than 3.2 as it was earlier on against Brighton. But yeah, I obviously rarely predict 4-2. We got it perfect last time with Chelsea. I'm going to do it again, 4-2 to Chelsea against Wolves. That is going to do it for this video. If you did enjoy it, please do drop a like, subscribe down below so you don't miss any videos. We've of course got Champions League coming back to the channel, as well as the Serie A, La Liga, Bundesliga and the Premier League here. So we're absolutely smashing it with videos, and it's clear to see you guys are enjoying it, and I really do appreciate the support. So thank you for watching. That is going to do it from me, and I'll see you in the next video very soon.